We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Oh, wrong show. But I did get some letters from you telling your haunted, spooky tales. So let's dive in. Well, hello, my spooky friends. Yes, we are back. Scully's excited. I'm excited. And I'm excited to share your letters. I know for some of you, you sent them in quite a bit ago, but I knew I was going to be taking a break, so I'm going to get through these, and I really want to hear more from you, so please email me. Okay, this first one is by Wise Coconut. My former husband and I bought a tiny cottage that had been converted from an old barn. It had been moved to the current town address from some rural property in 1947. Other than that, we didn't know anything about the house. It was just very small, but we could afford it. You know what? I think I'm going to need my glasses. Ah, getting old sucks. Right after we moved in, we started experiencing some unnerving things. The first unnerving thing was big bangs and crashes coming from the kitchen. It would sound like every dish, pot, and pan in the house suddenly crashing violently together. We would rush into the kitchen to find nothing was out of place and all was quiet. My husband brushed it off as methane burping from the kitchen sink. Honey, if your sink is burping that loud, yeah, you need to call either a plumber or an exorcist. I don't know. The way you're describing it, I don't think a kitchen can burp that much. And oh, the smell. Oh my God. Oh, yeah. Bleh. But the explanation never made much sense to me as the sewer drain was at the other end of the house. Those crashes happened every few weeks for the first year we were in the house. On several occasions, I found all of the kitchen chairs turned around, oh, backward. But I brushed this off as my husband trying to prank me. He always denied it, though. You see that in the movies and stuff where the kitchen chairs are turned around backwards? Look, I'm telling you, it's on. It's full out war if I come in and that's the situation. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Gotta clean my glasses. I can't see anything. All right. The other event was footsteps, like loud boot footsteps throughout the ground floor. Once again, my husband brushed these off and said he thought the neighbor was coming in when he thought we weren't at home. What? Yet he never made a fuss about our home being invaded by strangers, so I don't really think he believed that either. Again, I don't know what kind of neighbors y'all got, but if they are coming in while they think you're not home, I'd be booby trapping that house. I'm just saying. Oh my gosh, what do you think, Scully? This is crazy. You're not even this much trouble. Then there was the scent of freshly brewed coffee. Now, y'all know that is a ghost thing that I can get behind. Ah, Every time, oh wow, every time we made love, the house would fill with the scent of freshly brewed coffee. So I guess like the ghosts are saying, have some coffee and not a cigarette. Well, I gotta think that's cool. I tried to debunk this, could not find any reason for it. Our windows would be closed. The neighboring housers, the neighboring houses would have also closed. The neighboring houses would also have closed windows and were not close by anyway. Look, anytime you smell coffee, it's a perfect occasion, okay? You can't go wrong with that. The other thing that would happen in this house quite regularly was the phantom sound of someone coming home through the front door. The house had a small anteroom that one passed through from the front door to the house proper. In this small space, there was a shelf where we would leave our hats, gloves, mail, and keys. The sound of someone coming into the anteroom and leaving one's things was quite distinct, and we were both fooled into thinking the other had come home many times. Since I had lived in a haunted house before, I wasn't frightened by these things until one night things got a little more personal than I had ever experienced before. On several occasions, I awoke to find all of the blankets and the sheet on the floor. I'm a very heavy sleeper, so I put this down to us being hot and pushing the blankets off. Then one morning, my husband was away, and I awoke to my blankets being pulled off of me. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Mm-mm. Okay, look, because that is too close to, no, because that is too close to touching me. There was no one else in the room. After the blanket incident, I saged the house and most of the weird things stopped. The two things that persisted was the smell of coffee at odd times and the phantom sounds in the anteroom. My son and ex still live in that house, but neither report anything weird. Still, there is a reason my ex is my ex, and he simply might not notice. Yeah, there's always a reason an ex is an ex, right? Absolutely. And I say that I'm friends with my ex, but yeah, you're still staying that little X box. Whatever. Now, I live in a house that was built in 1924, but occasionally I get the sensation of someone rushing at me from behind. You know, when you feel a person in your space before they should boo at you? The feeling is similar to that. Recently, brought home a puppy, and little Pip sometimes barks at corners, but right now he barks at everything. Still, we are only in the house half the year. Perhaps this house's active season is when we aren't home. I hope not. I am getting too old for haunted houses, yet since my house isn't haunted, I feel a little cheated too. Yeah, there's something about after you live in a haunted house, I mean, and then you move to a normal house, it's kind of like it's a relief, but it's kind of sad too. You're like, oh my God, this house is so boring. Nothing exciting ever happens here. Of course, y'all know I cannot say that about Abilene Cottage. But are these kind of hauntings something that would bother you? Or is it something that you could live with and even grow accustomed to? Because, like I said, the warm coffee, the smell, oh my gosh, that's fine. Hearing somebody come in can be a little disturbing, especially if you think it might be real, because, like, somebody coming in the house wouldn't be a good thing. But, on the other hand, if you know, you kind of just get used to it, right? But then I had another email from Wise Coconut. Now in this one, she says it is 5:19 a.m. on April 29th. From where wait, when did she say this is how long ago she sent me this. From where I am sitting, I can see the kitchen doorway with access to the backyard and my bedroom door, which is partially closed. Access to the bathroom is through my bedroom. I was sitting here just now watching YouTube videos, and I thought my husband just walked through the bedroom and into the bathroom. He did not come out, so I thought he is just taking his time, if you know what I mean. But as I am sitting here, my husband walked out of the kitchen. He had been outside smoking and denied that he was in the bathroom. But I saw someone. Oh my. And the reference for this letter was maybe my house is haunted. So yeah, Wise Coconut, you might have another haunting, or maybe you are haunted. Um, I what do y'all think? I know some of you tell me a lot of paranormal stories because, like I've said, for some people it's a one off. They kind of have a paranormal experience and then they really never have one again, but it's made a believer out of them. But for, I would say, a good majority of people, it seems like once you have one paranormal experience, you tend to have some more over and over, maybe years apart, maybe not. So it leads you to believe, like, are you haunted? As I have wondered, am I haunted? Come here, come here. I know y'all have wanted to see her, and she's trying to get attention now. Here we go. Oh, not tall enough. Oh my goodness, Sachi, you've gotten fat. Yeah, you have gotten a little fluffy. Uh, noticed we've been going through a little bit more food than normal. But anyway, so like back to my question. Those of you who feel like um, you've had a lot of paranormal experiences, do you think you are haunted? Or is it the buildings? Because I feel like it's both with me. I feel like I'm very susceptible. I'm just, I don't know, have the sixth sense, whatever is going on. But I sense a lot of things. But then sometimes the place that I'm at is legit haunted, and it's not just something following me around. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what y'all think about that. Put your comments down below. All right, where are we at? Okay, this next story, and this is about dreams. She says, "Hi Silky, your recent video about dreams and the cat and tablet cracked me up and reminded me about some things. Not so scary, at least. I've had one or two dreams that have repeated all my life, at least once a year. In one, I was up high in a big auditorium kind of building, like being in one of those nosebleed seats. I was jumping from seat to seat and terrified I was going to fall. That one always woke me up, shaking. I do have a fear of heights, but it's not because of that. Some sort of imbalance between my eyes, ears, and eyes. Anyway, when I was 18, my high school band went on a senior trip, and one of the things we did was a tour of the Astrodome in Houston. The guide was showing us different things and took us up to the very top seats. Everyone was going through an entrance to get in the seats to see what it was like. I had just gotten through the entrance, took one look, and promptly turned around and went back out the hall. It was my dream come to life, and I thought I was going to pass out before I could sit down against a wall. At least I never had that dream again. Thank goodness. Yeah, that's well, let me stop there because yeah, when you're afraid of heights like that and you have that dream, like I feel like dreams mean something. Like does it mean elevation? There's all kind of interpretations. But because you were always terrified you were going to fall, like was the dream kind of a warning because you already like would you have been less careful if you hadn't had this recurring dream all the time? Would you have just enjoyed being up there and maybe had some kind of little snafu that happened? I don't know. Could it be a warning? If you said you didn't have it after that, then I'm thinking maybe you stopped something. I mean, who knows? So thank you, Mama Frog, for that. Okay, this next one is from Kirk. Dear Silky, my grandmother on my mother's side was pure Irish. She had a lot of pride in President Kennedy being the first Irish president. She really loved Kennedy, as most of the country did. Years later, when my grandmother was in her late 70s, she had lung cancer. But what makes this eerie is that at the time I lived in South Florida. In April of 1978, I had a dream that my grandmother was sitting in the back of Kennedy's limo, waving to me and saying, "Goodbye, Kirk. I will always love you." And I woke up startled, and I looked at the clock, and it was 6:15 a.m. Then later in the day, I found out that my grandmother had passed at 6:15 that day. So, wow, you're dreaming that she's in President Kennedy's car and waving and saying goodbye. Like, honestly, I think that's how your grandma went out. We don't all go out the same way. I mean, we've heard this. Some people are on trains and all kind of stuff. Some get visited by the Hat Man and all, some with the relatives and all that. But now I don't know if it was President Kennedy coming to get her or if it was an angel that looked like President Kennedy so she wouldn't be scared. But in either case, I absolutely think that she was saying goodbye to you on her way out. And I think that is a great story. As a matter of fact, much better than the one we heard before about President Nixon coming to get somebody. Yeah, I'll go with Kennedy. Thank you. Sachi is just out of the reach where you can see her. Oh, well, this is the problem. My camera was up too high. No wonder half of the video is going to look funny. Yeah, Sachi's been here the whole time. Yes, she has. But let's go on. Okay, we have been going through some stories by Nancy Votto, and so she sent me another. Although the two stories I have already shared with you, the only things I can add that is personal to me was the fear of being in my grandmother's room. She had the front room, which was the largest, and being it was her house, deservingly so. I don't know why it frightened me, except that her alarm clock was also a ceramic music box. It always seemed to wind and go off when I would be in there. I found the only way to enter, if I asked if asked to retrieve something, was to talk loudly to myself as if praying out loud. I still have nightmares about sleeping in that room. The night light would go out, the door would either close so I couldn't get out, or would open to see a figure coming towards me. It was always cold in there to me, yet my older sister loved that room. I shared a bed with my sister in the small middle room. My mom would paint the one wall every year because an outline of a skull would appear, mouth open as if screaming. Oh my God. I was never afraid of it. I knew we were in a brick row home and I couldn't see a body part seeping through the bricks. However, it was odd. I tried doing research into the address to see if anything showed up about hauntings or murder, but found nothing. More to come, still going in that order. And her next experience is going to be something that happened with her mom and aunt. Okay, so let's go back to where she had this terrifying feeling going to her grandmother's room because it was cold and the music box would always go off when she entered. Now, was that just a coincidence, the movement or something in the room? I don't know. Did it do it with anyone else? I also was terrified of my grandmother's bedroom, but it's because she had this statue. It was like the head of Jesus, and but it had like big nails. Like I can't explain it to you. I have never seen another piece, another statue done like this, but it was called like the suffering of Christ or something like that. But there was just so much torment and agony on his face, and then you had these big, like real nails coming out. It was horrifying. And as a little child, it was terrifying to me. I did not want to go in her room for anything in the world. Yeah, if you had to go retrieve something, go get something, I would have to run in and run out and try not to look at it. So I mean, I could appreciate it more when I got to be an adult, but it was very, even as an adult, very unnerving. Yeah. So I get it. Okay, so I still have some more letters to go and I will share them with you. I'm so glad to be back. Again, I've got a huge project I will be sharing on my other channel and some more ghost stories. I have a cryptid story or two to tell you. So if you have any cryptid stories, and if you don't know what that is, that means like Bigfoot or Dogman or any of the other kind of cryptids. Mothman? Has anybody ever seen the Mothman? Anyway, we'll be talking about that in one of the upcoming episodes. And are you enjoying the bedtime stories? Because I'm like, I don't know. I can't decide whether people really like them or not. But I can do some more of those if you want me to. So put it down in the comments below. All right, Scully, we're going to end it here. And we might tell each other some ghost stories. We'll see. All right, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm going to try to upload more videos. Stay cool out there, and I hope you have a great holiday coming up. Whatever you do, though, stay spooky. Bye bye.